You're listening to the CIP podcast, the Study Abroadcast, episode 3. I'm your host, Daniel. In this show, we are exploring the world of study abroad, offering advice, insights, and travel stories, bridging perspectives and cultures along the way. In this episode, we will be speaking with a University of Guelph exchange student, hearing their stories and asking them to unpack their experience now that they've returned home. So let's get right into it. Today on the show, we are pleased to welcome Nadine. To get started, Nadine, can you please tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your exchange experience?
For sure. My name is Nadine Van Dalen, and I'm currently a master's student at UBC in Vancouver, studying public policy and global affairs, specializing in resources, energy, and sustainability. I studied environmental biology at the University of Guelph and graduated this past spring. In 2019, during the fall semester of my fourth year at Guelph, I did a semester abroad in Norway at the Norwegian University of Life Sciences. I wanted to study in Norway to explore its beautiful, rugged landscapes and to experience its culture so committed to sustainability and outdoor activities. It absolutely is true that going on exchange is truly life-changing. It was, without a doubt, one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Did you always see yourself as a traveler, or were you venturing outside of your comfort zone in your travels?
I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to do some traveling with my family growing up. Nonetheless, it was still a big deal for me moving to Norway for nearly half a year. It was the first international trip I had ever done by myself, not knowing a single person in the country I was traveling to, and therefore to be building my community there from scratch.
It sounds like you had an amazing experience abroad. What was it like returning home? Were you feeling bored, relieved, or even excited about coming home?
It was unbelievably hard to leave Norway and my exchange lifestyle to return home. I had such a fantastic experience there that I gave serious thought to trying to return to my host university for postgraduate studies. Of course, it was super nice to come home to Ottawa for the holidays and to see my family and dog again, but I definitely felt some intense exchange withdrawal. It was so hard to say goodbyes and see you laters to the amazing friends I had made there. We had spent so much time together between living with each other on campus, as well as traveling together throughout the semester, so it was very sad when our time together came to a close. But it was actually only once I was back in Guelph for my first semester back that I really noticed how much I was missing exchange. Something that I found super helpful for readjusting to life at Guelph post-exchange was taking on some fun additional hobbies and extracurriculars to keep busy and distracted from missing the excitement of exchange.
You've been back home for some time now. Have you had time to reflect on your experience? How did you grow from the study abroad opportunity?
Two of the major things I took away from exchange on a personal level are the enhanced independence and self-awareness that I gained. I gained a lot of self-confidence having embarked on this big adventure on my own volition, doing all of the planning ahead of time, finding my way in Norway, and putting myself out there to help me meet so many awesome people from around the world. You definitely get a thrill from truly being in the driver's seat of your exchange experience and crafting it as you wish it to be. This ultra proactive mindset inspired from my exchange I try to carry with me today. As for self-awareness, I found myself in so many unique and exciting situations, which really allowed me to learn a lot about myself. Exchange allowed me to discover new passions and helped me better understand the ones I had coming in. I also found myself much more in tune with my thoughts and feelings and more aware of different aspects of my personality. I've already noticed how, in understanding myself better after going on exchange, I can make better decisions for myself in all areas of my life.
In terms of expanding your understanding of Norway or perspectives of Scandinavia as a whole, what stood out for you the most?
The main surprise for me coming to Norway was that Norwegian culture is generally very introverted and can seem unfriendly. Coming from a country on the opposite end of the friendliness spectrum, this can come across as being closed off or even a bit cold. For example, when you ask for help, you may find that Norwegians do not appear to be terribly happy to help you. Though, especially once I heard other Norwegians speaking to this, I realized and appreciated that this is not them being rude, rather it's just a social norm. That said, A number of Norwegians I met through classes, as well as my professors and the university staff at my host university, were extremely friendly towards the international students.
What about from a global context? Did you gain any deeper insight into global issues or politics, such as religion, history, globalization, or climate change?
Being immersed in Norwegian culture, I gained a greater appreciation for the universality of the challenges and complexities in advancing environmental change, and specifically environmental policy, even in a country such as Norway with such mainstream attention to sustainability.
Would you say that your personal and professional goals stayed the same, or did something change along the way?
Like I mentioned about learning about the complexities to achieve meaningful environmental change in Norway, this time abroad really helped me inform my desire to pursue a career in public policy, stemming from what I learned during my exchange, both in my own experiences as well as what I learned in my classes there.
In terms of stereotypes or biases, did you notice any changes in how you perceived others or how others perceived you?
Being on exchange, I found myself constantly surrounded by people who were all from different places, having different lived experiences. Having heightened awareness of this fact from the international community that I was a part of in Norway, that increased open-mindedness is definitely something that I've taken away from exchange. In terms of how I was perceived, exchange was the first time I was frequently in a situation where I was the only Canadian in a group. As such, I became more aware of the stereotype of Canadians being very friendly and polite, being told this numerous times from folks from other countries, and that I actually say a lot.
Well, we're almost done here, so we'll end off with an easy one. What advice would you give an exchange student who has just recently returned home?
The best advice that I would give to an exchange student who's just returned back to Guelph is to take on some additional hobbies and extracurriculars at the university to keep busy and distracted from missing the excitement of exchange. I know that I definitely felt this when I returned back to Guelph, and found this to be a really helpful way to kind of readjust to life back at Guelph.
Well, that's all for today's episode of the Study Abroadcast. Don't forget to explore your own study abroad opportunities on our CIP website, uoguelph.ca/CIP, or follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Our Instagram handle is CIP_Guelph. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Nadine, for your insights, your travel stories, and of course, your time today. Stay tuned for our next episode where we will look to unpack the study abroad experience even further.